Hello students, I'm going to show you how to make a 3D bubble in Photoshop. Hopefully get you used to understanding how you see things in 3D and what really makes a 3D image, the shadow, the highlight, and the reflection. Usually are the three objects that make a 3D object or 3D image. Let's start in Photoshop. This is really easy. Please pause as many times as you can. File new, we're going to keep this relatively small, but not too small because we can always resize it. Let's just go 450 square, 450 pixels square, and the resolution really doesn't matter, just leave it 72. You can get this by web preset, the 72, but either way. Got a nice big square there. Let's start building our beautiful bubble. Now right now in our layers panel, which you should have open, the Holy Grail, you should see just a white background layer, which is perfect. Command-Shift N for a new layer, and we're going to name this bottom, because this is going to be our biggest blur area. So I created a new layer, I named it bottom, and now I want you to get your marquee, elliptical marquee, and start drawing a circle, holding down Shift and Alt from the middle-ish. Let go of your click, and you can move it in the middle.
The litter box
Hold on. Okay, I'm back now. You made a selection. Try to move it in the middle and make sure you're on your new layer, your new blank layer. All we're going to do is fill this selection with a stroke, not a fill, but a stroke. And be sure, this is the most common mistake I see, is you have to be inside the selection. So that will make the outside edge of the selection really sharp. If you do center or outside, when you go to make your blurs, you're going to leave an edge there that's not going to look good. So make it inside. We're going to stroke it, I don't know, let's go 4 pixels, something kind of fat. There we go. And this is the bottom. Now you're going to go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and you're going to blur that selection on the inside. Notice how it doesn't go on the outside. So you decide where you want it. The bigger the better, because we're going to make more circles for a sharper edge. So I'm going to go on up to, I don't know, 17, so it barely shows like that. There we go. And now another new layer. I just click the new layer icon. And we're going to name this Sharp. And you'll see why in a minute. Just go up to Stroke again. This time stroke at 2 pixels. And then Filter, Blur. Do not choose this Gaussian blur because that's the same percentage as you just used it. We're going to change the percentage every time, so you have to go on down to the other Gaussian blur. I'm going to blur a little bit less, maybe 9-ish. There we go. And then do it again. But name this layer Sharper. Sharper. If you double click the layer word, you'll be able to change the layer, but don't double click not the word because you'll get the layer style window, which you don't want. So do the same thing again, but this time we're going to stroke it 1 pixel, always on the inside. And you'll notice if we deselect, we kind of got a bubble there, but we're not done with it yet, so don't deselect. If you did, just like I did, go to Select, Reselect, and then we'll do one more blur, Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and this one we're going to blur a lot less, maybe 3 or 4-ish. So we've got 3 layers, all at a little bit different blur, all at a nice, it's all on the inside, so it looks really nice. So we got this, now we need some reflection. So make another new layer. On this layer we're going to use our brush, hit B for your brush, and make sure your brush's opacity is at 100%, flows at 100%, and the brush you choose is the second one from the top. See, I hit this brush drop down, second one from the top, and you decide the size, but something about like that. And just do 1 click, another click, and then maybe 1 on the other side. Okay. Now go back to Filter or Select, Reselect, because on this layer we're going to distort it a little bit by using Filter, Distort, and we're going to choose Pinch. Instead of pinching it, we're going to bloat it. We're going to pull it the other way, maybe in the 40s. So it kind of looks like that. Now we're going to go filter, blur, and you guessed it, Gaussian blur. I'm going to make it nice and soft. Notice how it stays inside the selection. It's important to have that selection. Okay, that's about good right there. And if you think it's too heavy, you can always adjust your opacity on your layer by highlighting the layer and then checking the opacity. Or if you want to fine tune it, you can always hit eraser, and grab your eraser tool and get a nice soft brush and drop the opacity way down and erase some of that you don't like. See, I'm going to erase some of this right here. There we go. So, another new layer. And this time we're going to stamp right in the middle. Hit deploy brush. This time we're going to go fatter brush and we're going to stamp one time. There we go. If your brush window's in the way, you can always click away to make it go away. And this time we're going to drop the opacity on our brush click to 50%. Don't miss that step. Now filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And not very much. Let's go right in there. We go. I'll drop the opacity a little bit on that too. Perfect. Alright, now if we go to the different layers on the bottom as opposed to the top, we can use the eraser tool to clean up the edges. Hit F to view, and then I'm going to zoom in with the selection still selected. Sharp, bottom, background is sharper. Sharper is that sharp edge, so let's go to the middle edge and E for our eraser and set the opacity way down on your control panel. And also make sure your brush is soft, hardness way on down. You choose the size. And just start erasing, click and drag some of the edge anywhere you see fit. Now I started erasing on the wrong edge. I should have erased over here on the highlight edge. I'm going to shift to a different layer, do a little bit more erasing. I'm going to even shift to this layer and do some erasing. Same thing on this side. Just a little bit. Clicking and dragging. Clicking and dragging. Clicking and dragging. There we go. Now when you think you like it, Command D and deselect and look at your bubble. Zoom back a little bit. Looks pretty realistic. So if you like it, save it, turn it in. Command Shift. Oh, let's make it look with a black background. Let's flip all the colors. So take your eyeball off your background, the white background, and then hold down Shift and select all of your layers. And hit Command Alt Shift E. You're going to make a layer all by itself out of all those layers without destroying those layers. So take the eyeballs off of all those other layers, and on the front layer you should have your beautiful bubble. Let's invert the colors. So I do believe it's under Edit. Invert. And sometimes when I can't find things, there's so many. Invert, adjustments, invert. There we go. Layer, image adjustments, invert. Bam. So I made a white bubble. You can't really see it, so let's make a new background down here on the bottom. New layer, and you know how to fill. And just be sure to fill with the color black. There we go. And it should look something like that. And hopefully you've got a bubble. Save it. File, save as. And make sure it's a JPEG, please. And type your name, Joe's Bubble. Your name though. And turn it in. Good luck. See ya. Always 12 by the way.